Good one. Marketing. Because each person has a different audience. Every one of my marketing clients has a different audience, and we have to sit down and figure out who their audience is and how to reach them. Nonfiction, I have no problem finding your audience. I know where they are, and not counting memoirs.
Okay.
Memoirs are a little tougher, but even there you have some direction. But when you're writing fiction, you all you can do is genre. And there's so much competition that it's hard to make a name for yourself and get it out there.
Mm.
But if you do the right thing, right now we're trying a new program right here in this area. I have started up a new group called Culture Coast Writers.
That was my next question.
Yes, it's only for people who live in the 5-county area of, let's see, starts with Manatee, Sarasota, Pinellas,
yeah.
Charlotte, and I believe Hillsborough. And I accepted a couple people from North Lee County because they came all the way up here.
Okay. And just for our listeners, these counties are all around on the west coast of Florida, on the Gulf Coast, we call that,
Yes.
around Sarasota.
South of, Tampa Bay area. It's Tampa Bay, and we are the Culture Coast from Sarasota, and Manatee and Pinellas are so rich in culture that we are pretty much the Culture Coast, which is where Culture Coast Writers comes from. Anyway, those 5 counties, I am trying to gather all the local writers to sign up on Facebook with Culture Coast Writers. And each week we feature one of them with a short story that we give away for free. With at the very back of the short story are links to the author's other books, the ones that they're selling. But the short story gives the audience, the readers, a chance to decide whether they like the writing. Is it professional? Is it something they want to read? Is it a subject that they enjoy? And is it written in their style, the type of stuff they want to read? So we give them these short stories, and then at the back of the short story, they can decide whether they want to buy something else by you. And it's a great chance to showcase your work without giving it away, because for the longest time over the last few years, people have been giving away their book for 3 or 5 days. Well, that's not getting you money. Yeah, you got a whole bunch of sales and activity, and then for a couple days you might sell 5 or 10 copies after the freebie's over, but it's too limited. I don't want to give away the store. I don't mind giving away samples, but I don't want to give away the store. So that's why we've started Culture Coast. It's a place to share all of those short stories, our styles, and sometimes we have different styles. So someone might write Gothic, and they might also write romance. So each one is done separately to a separate genre, and it's marketing is horrendous when you have to go in different directions.
No, I think it's a very good thing. I'm part of the group, and I try to share as much as possible. Every week there's something different, and I think it's a really good thing. In fact, I even bought one of the books on another author. I read his short story, and then I went and bought one of his books.
Pierce? Was it John Pierce?
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
I know. His short story, Lauren, was so exactly as his style. It's a historical fiction. It was based on characters in his stories, and I love the way he did it. It was just very, very well done. And he's got readers' favorites across the world. He's won awards in France, Paris, his second home as well. I think you have a thing over there too.
Yeah, I go there a lot. I used to live there.
Yes, and that's a second home for John Pierce as well. And his stories are based between here and there, people going back and forth. And that's really interesting. And he gets a lot of sales overseas too.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yes, he's really globally doing well. In fact, John's one of my best success stories in this. He's constantly making a profit of between $1,000 and $2,000 a month on his 3 books.
That's really good. That's
a profit, and it's steady money. It doesn't stop. He's selling it mostly on his ebooks, believe it or not. Some are the trade paperbacks, but the big money right now seems to be switching over to the ebooks because people don't mind their price.
Yeah.
If you want to get them to reading at $2.99 is easy, but they don't put out $12.99 for a paperback that they're going to read and throw out. So
exactly.
They'd rather just pay the $2.99 and read it on their computer, their phone, or their Kindle. So ebooks are really the future and need to be stressed more. And that's where these little stories come in. You couldn't make little paperbacks with 5-page or 10-page stories to show people your work.
No.
But this works. Ebooks work, so they can read that on the computer. So
I know my wife and I, we do all the reading on our phones.
Yeah.
And
it's convenient. You're stuck in traffic because an accident happened, and you just pull out the phone and enjoy yourself. It's good use of your time.
So you're still, are you think, because I ask this of every author and every marketer, do you think people are reading like they used to?
No, they are not. And that's another opportunity for writers, something that's a little bit outside the box. I want more writers to think about writing action into their story so it reads more like a television episode or movie. Because there is an unbelievable call for material for all the new video networks online. I mean, tremendous. So the books can be converted. Think True Blood came from the Sookie Stackhouse series, and each book was an episode on TV, and she's made it for life. She's sitting pretty. So it's easy. Orange is the New Black was one of them. And just think about how it could be turned. If you've got an action adventure, sci-fi is a great one. Suspense thrillers, as long as it's something that you can keep going because you've got a main character. It's a series. You can make episodes from series. So that's really where I hope.
So all these new things that go on TV, like Suits, like Downton Abbey, all of these things are all come from books, or just
they generally come from books, the original idea, and then somebody reads it and goes, wow, that would make a really good movie, or that would make a really good series. Sometimes it's an actor who would like to play the lead part. Sometimes it's a producer that goes, wow, I could really work with this. And they hire a screenwriter to do the adaptation. So you really only get credit for the book. But if you're negotiating well, you ask them to acknowledge it in the credits and get permission to put that right on your book, that it's based on this series or that series. And that will help your book sell. So that can be a huge deal. Mm-hmm. I can't even tell you how many people are making decent money. They may not be making millions, but they're going to be making tens of thousands rather than just a couple hundred here and a couple hundred there. So right towards the idea of making them action, not internal thoughts. That's going to leave out most literary fiction.
No, yeah, it's for sure.
Those might make a nice, pretty, the color purple, or, the really big dramas. But it's hard to take a 300-page book and make a 90 to 120-page script out of it that's going to be a 2-hour, 3-hour movie. It's difficult to cut it down that way and retain the essence of the stories. I've seen it done. I mean, I couldn't believe they did it with Lord of the Rings in 10 hours, but
they used to do it all the time with the 19th century books, like The Three Musketeers or the Papillon, the French movie Papillon.
Yeah.
So I guess things are done differently today. I wanted to ask you, we only have a couple of minutes left, Donna. So Sarasota is a very artsy town. There's all sorts of things here like art, ballet, opera, theater, film festival, chamber orchestra, and plenty of retired snowbirds to run things. There are all sorts of groups too, writers groups, book clubs, screenwriters groups, and playwrights groups.
So many.
What about traditional publishers? Are they in the area as well?
We have a few. Pineapple Press is one. Okay. They will only do Florida writing and mostly nonfiction. And they just got purchased by somebody, and I'm not sure how strict they are now on that, but they've been very particular about that. Of course, their best book sales ever were the one on Florida itself. There's a...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Patrick Andrew, I think, wrote it. Smith? No, Patrick Smith wrote it. And it's just amazing. But that's their number one seller. But the other thing they do is lighthouses. If you've got a book on lighthouses, picture book or something about a lighthouse, they do lighthouses.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about fiction, nonfiction.
Ocean View is the only other legitimate traditional boutique publisher that I know of locally. There's little tiny ones that will pick up two to 10 authors and work with them, but it's hard because they don't have the money to be marketing either. All they're really doing is doing the distribution. That's the big difference between traditional and indie, is that distribution thing. And again, it's only for a couple weeks. And once a couple weeks are over, you're back on Amazon. So
well, everybody goes to Amazon to buy things. I'm sorry, Donna, we only have about 15 seconds left now. So this interview will air in the coming weeks. Dona Lee directs the Culture Coast Writers Group on Facebook. I'd like to thank writer, editor, and book marketer Dona Lee for being on our show today. My name is Richard Bont, and this is Curmudgeonly Yours, an eclectic show on Society Bites Radio. You can download these podcasts on societybitesradio.com or richardbont.com, and you can also listen to us on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, Sound Echo, and several other internet platforms. It's a pleasure talking with you today. Bye, Donna.
Thanks, Richard.
So I'd like to thank our guests for being on Curmudgeonly Yours today. And please, if you like what you heard, send me an email to richard@richardbont.com. And if you didn't, please keep your comments to yourself. Remember, this is Richard Bont and Curmudgeonly Yours on Society Bites Radio, where everything is what it seems, nothing is what it seems, and what is not said is often of most interest.